Good morning and welcome back to the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships. We are coming to you live from Perth, Western Australia. I'm Max Stenstrom and I'm joined in the commentary box by Katie Locke. We'll be keeping you company for this cracker of a match between the Malaysian and the New Zealand mixed teams. Katie, you're familiar with this New Zealand team. What can we expect?
We can expect a really exciting combination of players. They're coming around from all over the country in New Zealand. A lot of them love mixed. It's their bread and butter. They prefer it to men's and women's ultimate. So it's really exciting. This is the first time that New Zealand has sent a mixed team to the Under-24 World Championships. Now Malaysia, this is their first ever world representation, which is really, really exciting. So Max, you had a chat to them about that and their preparation?
Yeah, I did. It's an incredible story that began well over 12 months ago when this tournament was announced that it was going to be in Perth. The president of the Malaysian Ultimate Federation saw that as an opportunity to send a team to this tournament. Now we've just seen the first pull coming from New Zealand. This young Malaysian team starting on offense, running out of a split stack initially. They've got a full 28-person roster and unfortunately unable to connect on that initial upfield pass.
An early turn there, and we've got Johnson coming to pick up the disc. Revert stack, finding Mansell. She dumps. Alga. Working on a vertical stack at the moment, moving upfield. There's a flick there. And a great crash off the D there from New Zealand to get the first goal. Number 42, I believe, Caitlin Wood. And a huge excitement from New Zealand squad, all getting around their players.
Incredible effort by Uwe from the Malaysian team to get involved, get a couple of hands on that disc. From a defensive perspective, I think Malaysia will be happy with that effort. Obviously an incredible regather by the New Zealand team, but as a general principle, Malaysia will be happy with that pressure, continue to apply that on defense. I was having a chat to their captain, who is Uwe, before the match, and she said one of their big priorities will be intensity on defense, putting a lot of pressure on the resets. We see again here, the shot comes up the field, a couple of meters out.
And we have Lee there, putting the flick up. It flicks up with the wind. And an excellent grab. And that was actually, correction, that was Ziana Mansell with the goal.
The wind is coming left to right on your screens at home. At the moment, nothing too severe. More of the kind of wind that the throwers need to be aware of and take advantage of, rather than one that's really going to suppress and oppress the play of both teams. So we've got Malaysia again on offense. Looks like they'll be switching up their lines, keeping their legs fresh, taking advantage of quite a large roster.
And that's Van Turnhout with a flick pull.
As Kwa gathers, New Zealand coming out in a zone look, taking advantage of these windy conditions. Kwa looking to get every other pass almost. We can expect to see a whole lot of zone in these conditions. I was walking around the fields earlier today. A lot of teams playing quite aggressive zone looks with a couple of players forming a cup or a wall, as we like to call it, around the disc, applying a lot of pressure, but a great incisive pass through the wall. Malaysia able to make a few meters and then slow it back down. Lim with a couple of lovely low release backhands to get it moving. Back to Kwa. I really am enjoying watching the Malaysians here not give the New Zealanders what they want. A couple of bubbles in the wind.
He looked like Lim. He almost had it there. Just slipped through the fingertips. And Van Turnhout picking up the disc. Malaysia have put a backhand force on. It's a bit of an interesting change. Probably just trying to force the players into the wind, and it worked. Malaysia back on O.
Great D by Yao. Quickly picks up, looking to get it moving quickly before the zone can set. Finds the dump and swing across to Lim. Malaysia showing they're willing to play patiently, move the disc around, not go too aggressive too early in these difficult conditions. But there you go. You see the risk of playing that patient style in the wind, a wayward pass, a miscommunication, and now New Zealand have it just a few meters out from the end zone.
It was a big gust of wind that just came through just before that throw went up, so I think that really punished them and put that throw out far further than they expected. Van Turn out to pick up.
An interesting tactical setup from New Zealand here. A horror when they're only about 8 metres out from the end zone. Often teams will look to revert to a vertical in this situation. And that's a goal.
And that's Linton Price with the goal. And Miskimen with the assist. New Zealand up 2-0.
And now we'll look to pass down to our sideline reporter. We're joined by Claire Hussey with a couple of words. How's it looking from down there, Claire?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the energy on the sideline here. Both teams are communicating well with their players on the field. I think that New Zealand have got the edge on the volume, so that would come from quite a bit of experience in communication, and I think that's going their way at the moment. I'd like to hear a bit more noise from Malaysia as we move through this game. Back up to you.
Thanks, Huss. You'd expect to see from a Malaysian squad this big a little bit more noise. They've got 28 players, they've got a full support team, multiple staff members. Would love to see them bring that energy and that intensity to match the New Zealand so far.
And it looks like they've got their whole squad on knees listening to the line call. So maybe that's and they've split the sideline too. So maybe that's a sign that they're going to get up and about and know the game plan.
Was having a chat to a couple of their players before the game. This is something that they like to do before every point of every match, just to make sure everyone's on the same page with the plan for that point, know what's happening and stay engaged in their team's offense or defense as the point may be. We see New Zealand responding with another poachy zone look, different from before, much more of a containment style and looser downfield. We've got Chong with the disc on the near sideline. Beautiful arcing forehand. Finds his player, Loy, deep in the end zone.
That was a beautiful throw down to Loy. It was almost looking slightly bladey, but it sat just great in the wind.
Yeah, very impressive skills on that throw from Loy. Sees his player, hits him on the chest, not a problem.
And that's 2-1 to New Zealand, and they'll be coming out on offense for the first time.
Yeah, it's great to see Malaysia open their account, get an opportunity to play some defense. That was one of their focuses coming in. Lots of intense defense with pressure on the resets. Let's see whether they can execute now they've got that opportunity to get their D-line out on the field. Look at that flick. Beautiful.
Just a great outside end flick there.
New Zealand never had a chance.
And it came down right at the right moment, because Malaysia are quite a short team, so they can't use height to their advantage. So they'd have to really play those long shots carefully.
Absolutely. I think New Zealand, as we've seen already, and we'll continue to see, we've got a couple of big boys and girls, all of big men and women on their roster who can dominate that aerial space if Malaysia gives them the opportunity to.
Quite a deep pull here, coming to centre into Van Turn up. Oh, great D there from Chong.
Chong does a great job reading the play, sticks out the big right hand and reels it in. Looking to move it quickly, New Zealand now. Just a couple, Malaysia, apologies. A couple of metres out.
And that ditchy just not sitting right. And Van Turn up, putting a nice big grab up. Looking to centre. Back to Johnson. Fakes the forehand and centres it. Johnson has a bit of a scramble, but he reels it in. New Zealand working for a couple of key players here. Oh, flick round. He fakes the hammer. It's not coming up.
That's a great effort by the Malaysian defender there. Not able to get the D, but putting the pressure onto what became a relatively static New Zealand offense for a moment.
Just moving back between Johnson and Van Turner. Johnson indicating he wants some downfield options, but they just keep swinging it between the handlers. Right on the doorstep. And we have a goal there.
That was a lovely inside-out flick earlier in that point that opened up a whole lot of space from Van Turnhout. That break throw into the center of the field, providing so many options for continuous flow off that.
We had Liv Wary gritting the goal there. And the game advisors have signalled that 4 women will be played on this next point. And a replay of some great highlights here.
Here's that throw I'm talking about. How it just opens up an absolute paddock of space for a couple of breakside throws that lead to the goal. The throw does land outside the field on the full. The team has the option to either take it from the sideline or take what we call a brick, which is in the center of the field. And that is what Malaysia has elected to do. New Zealand playing a brackety style of defense at the front of the stack, immediately looking deep. Malaysia overthrowing Wong, unfortunately. The wind picking that up and causing that disc to sail.
It was a lovely disc there, but it was quite hard for the receiver to read that. They definitely thought it was going to drop sooner. New Zealand back on O. Just trying to get off the edge of the end zone there. Oh, huge backhand coming out, but that's way too far for the receiver there. Oh, but there has been a call.
Looks like a foul call that won't be contested, very quickly uncontested on that. Out of the hand, it definitely looked like there'd been a bit of contact, turning over quickly and heading out of bounds.
Yeah, and the game advisors has signalled that the foul has been uncontested. And just will go back to the original thrower. Hands of Alga. Great take there. New Zealand will still want to centre it. Get it off that sideline. There we go, looking for that swing, and we get the break. Moving up the centre of the field. Struggling to get that dump there, but back to Alga. Oh, and there has been a call.
Just keep swimming!
Looks like we've got a foul call, judging by the hand signals.
Oh.
An injury call.
Injury call.
So we get another look at this. A small reset backwards. Maybe not quite able to get a good look at what happened there, but the disc will go back. Looks uncontested.
And number 6 from Malaysia, Joseph Wong, is calling injury. Has been substituted. Some wind really picking up now, so this will make the upwind throws interesting.
Yeah, the wind has picked up. It's turned a little bit as a well. It's moving away from the camera now. We'll see how they adapt and how they react.
Put a bit of edge on that throw there from Algard. Dishes it back to Mansell. Oh, and there is a drop there, unfortunately.
We see the effect of that wind, just popping that disc up maybe a little higher than the thrower would have liked, making it difficult for the receiver to read. And Malaysia look to get it off the line quickly. Pointing towards the end zone, wanting the big throw. Doesn't come, but a nice break over a bidding mark in the end from He. To Uy. On the sideline. Malaysia having to work hard to move the disc. Plenty of pressure from the New Zealand defence. Looking to sag off the dump at times and play higher pressure defence downfield.
Oh, and that floats a little.
Shot down the sideline, unfortunately too flat. Maybe a little over-aware of the wind.
There was a great D there by Chong. Oh, right, a bit of hand block there.
Hand block by Uy, immediately gets it back, looking to finish this point quickly. Unable to find Lee in the end zone. Fat side backhand. Unfortunately, Lee not able to keep his feet and track that one down. And New Zealand will get another opportunity to work it up the full length of the field. And we see there again, great defense, heads up play from Loy. Not a perfect throw, but you see plenty of those where the defender's unaware and it doesn't, and it ends up completing regardless.
And there's been a timeout call now.
It's a timeout call from New Zealand. They've got the disc on the front corner of the end zone in the downwind side. There's not many places harder on the field to have to bring in the disc from a static start.
Especially after a timeout as well. It's often risky calling a timeout right in front of an end zone.
Absolutely, though I think New Zealand have wanting to take every opportunity they can to extend this early lead. They've jumped out to a 3-1 lead, which is obviously nice, but they're not going to feel comfortable yet. And if they can put away this one as well, they'll start to feel a little more comfortable, a little more secure, able to stamp their dominance on this game early.
Yeah, Malaysia are definitely giving them a run for their money, and they do not want to slow down the pedal.
They do not at all. We're going to throw down to Claire Hussey on the sideline for another couple of comments and thoughts. What's happening down there, Huss?
Well, I'm feeling that this is one of those points, those long points that, you know, can really change the momentum in a game. If Malaysia can turn this one, get this one in, I think they're going to get a lot of energy from a goal here. And it's always good to win those long battles. You can definitely take something extra from a point like this. So hoping for a bit of luck for them here.
Absolutely right. The momentum shift that can occur at an end of a long point like this with multiple turnovers can make a real difference to the overall story and outcome of the game. New Zealand starting this point on defense with the disc now, looking to convert another break opportunity. We've got Loy, oh sorry, apologies, not Loy picking up the disc. Malaysia setting up an aggressive looking zone. 3 in the cup, 3 downfield with 1 man deep. Lee sitting deep, looking to cover the deep shots.
And Ben Chong puts up a big flick forehand. And it is D there from Malaysia.
Lee almost tempting fate as he knocked it back up in the air. I thought for a moment there might be a second opportunity to regather. But Malaysia moving it nicely to this high sideline in the wind. This will be where they want to play from. Just means all the rest of the throws so much easier as they work it quickly through to He.
And a great D there from Wood. She just looked over her shoulder right at the perfect moment and got her hand up. See, with lots of quick little passes, getting it to the desired sideline. Lee just thinking about his options, dumping up to Alga.
Malaysia looking a little scrappy as they convert back, transition back to defense.
Chong dunks to Alba and back to Chong. Just sent to the disc. New Zealand in a vert stack. quite static with their cuts at the moment, though. There's not really a lot of options downfield. They have a throw go up to Risner, but can't really. It's just that little bit high with the wind picking it up. So Malaysia get another crack.
They do get another crack. He will pick up the disc on the far sideline again. He's got a player streaking deep and he launches it. The hat gets off. The disc is coming in. Can he get there? He cannot. It's a beautiful throw from he. Maybe just a touch too much edge in this wind. Doesn't sit out for the player in front.
Alga picks up instantly, just gets the disc moving. Wood looking for a dump. Just gets off to Alga. Their far sideline, and he hucks it! Oh, and that's beautifully. Ziana Mansell getting another goal today.
That's a lovely forehand throw in this wind. With the wind as it is, that's a very difficult shot. New Zealand showing they've got the skills to complete it and get the job done.
Definitely. And Mansell, the receiver on that, she is playing WUC this year with Christchurch Chicks and was also the MVP of the New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships in 2017. So she's clearly a very skilled receiver and knows right where to run for those long passes.
Yeah, I think it's a credit to the size and quality of the New Zealand program that you have players of that quality and of that experience playing in this mixed team.
Definitely, and Alga, the handler who put that shot down her, he played for under-23s in London 2015 for the men's team. So again, he's got world experience. And showing that it's useful.
Yeah, it makes all the difference, especially in tricky conditions like this, and especially in the first game of a tournament, where maybe some of those fresher, newer players might be experiencing a few jitters, a few nerves. When the cool heads and the veterans can step up and show how to get the job done, can have a real settling, calming effect on the rest of the team.
Johnson with the pull.
Malaysia get another opportunity. Going upwind and the dropped pull.
Oh no.
That's devastating.
So devastating.
Chong not able to hold on, unfortunately. The captain having a momentary lapse.
New Zealand have a very deep vert stack there, looking for a one-shot option. They get it. They get it.
Clinically punish the dropped pull. Not what Malaysia wanted in that situation. Never what a team wants in any situation, really, dropping a pull. I know Claire Hussey's got some thoughts on that, and we'll throw down to her.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about a dropped pull is that it rarely happens to the same person twice in a tournament. So the Malaysian player, Chong, will be very happy with the fact that his one pull drop is over and done with. He can go ahead in this tournament and know for sure that he's going to catch the rest of them from now on.
Or even just leave them on the ground. Safer play.
It's definitely
That's an option too.
Finding a silver lining to what is often a really devastating moment for a player, but that's often half the battle in any ultimate game, and that's the mental battle. Keeping yourselves in a positive state of mind with a positive intent going forward. Malaysia will look to put that behind them quickly, come back out and get the job done. New Zealand obviously liking the momentum that they're developing now. They're up 5-1. They'll look to continue that as the big pull goes up. And a false start, false alarm. New Zealand maybe a little concerned about the offside, and they immediately go again with the pull.
The pull curving round a little in front of the big mark.
Fielded by Kwa, immediately centres to Chong, who launches it deep. No fear despite the previously dropped pull. Does he keep it in? Does Tane keep it in? Great effort chasing it down, and that's a goal.
Oh, what a beautiful put.
It's a really heads-up play to be able to toe that shot in. So easy to just stay focused on the arcing disc as it came in very hot with the wind behind it.
Alga paused for a moment just to double check his feet were in, but he was comfortable. He called the goal for Malaysia.
Absolutely fearless from Chong. He just dropped the pull, doesn't stop him. Immediately looking to huck it to his player.
I think he'll feel pretty happy with himself now.
Redeemed the mistake, absolutely. Now we should take a moment to thank some of our sponsors, in particular Emma and Tom's. They've been fueling our 150 volunteers who've been working all week long. Their motto is look after yourself, and we'd like to encourage all of you to do just that. All of their products are sugar-free, totally natural, and they're minimally processed. So if you're down here at any point this week, visit the Emma and Tom's kiosk. They've got a full range of snacks and drinks to keep you hydrated and well filled for the tournament.
My personal recommendation is the Radical Action smoothie.
Would recommend. Got
Would
one sitting in front of us right now. Tastes delicious.
Definitely.
So do check them out.
So Malaysia with the pull.
Pulling upwind.
Resting just behind the brick mark. Got Van Turnhout. Looking to get some upfield action. Working it through their girls. Oh, and there has been a call. There's not been an indication from the game advisors what the call is. Oh, I think they're going to come in and give us some audio.
So it looks like it was an off the disc foul downfield, potentially by the defensive players. But the disc is back in.
Crossfield for backhand. Ganley with the disc. Oh, a bit of a low shot there for her receiver.
Malaysia look to move it quickly. Swings it to Ui. The cup setting, putting a lot of pressure on, able to find an outlet, a release valve. Possibly an opportunity to swing that got missed there. Instead, go over the top with the bladey forehand. Nice snag. And now they move it to the high side in the wind. This is where they want to be. This is where they want to play. Lead with the disc. Centers it. Moving across, using the full width of the field. Great in principle. Potentially a little risky in winds like this, as they can sometimes get trapped on that downwind side. Lovely inside forehand through the wall. Bit of contact on the mark. Lee choosing to play through it. And unfortunately the wind pushing that throw into the turf. As the wind has shifted a little bit and is now going away from camera, those throws have a tendency to head towards the ground. And New Zealand will have an opportunity to play some offense.
Johnson with the disc. Oh, just a little bit too high there for the hands of the receiver.
No hesitation from Malaysia, back to Ui. They're about 15 yards out. The aggressive blade over the wall.
And Johnson is on his bike. He's off, he got the D and he goes for a run. It's back to Johnson and he sends it. It's a 2-on-2, 1-on-1. Oh, can't reel it in. It's Coggins there in a 1-on-1 contest with Zanel Abidi.
He does a good job to get and maintain position as they ran deep. Ui, nice pass through the center. They'll look to head to the races here before the cup can set. Finds Ui. Round backhand. Malaysia very comfortable with the give and go, but unable to hold on there.
We've got Lynch with the disc. It's the backhand break to Wary. Through to Bashand. They turn out. And he sends it. It's just a little bit too high for Lynch to run for. Seems like this may be another long point.
Another long point, multiple turnovers. I think this may be a feature we'll see a little bit more this game. It's tough conditions. Seeing both teams struggle to hold on to what are sometimes regulation passes, regulation catches as the disc bobbles in the wind. Looks like we've got a timeout called by Malaysia. They're looking to take advantage of this turnover. They've got the full length of the field to work, but they'll bring it in, they'll have a chat. Are there any key adjustments, Katie, that you think they need to make to increase their consistency in these difficult conditions?
I think one of the huge thing is just being mindful of the wind. So we've seen all the throws that are coming to the far side, particularly the forehands are starting to pick up a bit and almost coming bladey. So I think they really need to be careful with those throws into the wind and making sure they put just the right angle on it so it doesn't pick up and it sits more for their player. I think that's one thing. And yeah, just being mindful of the height mismatch. New Zealand have that little bit extra height, so in a one-on-one, New Zealand's probably going to take it down or at least body them out. So I think those are probably the two main adjustments they need to make on offense there to convert.
I think Alga showed us how those hucks can look when they're done well earlier with the forehand down the far sideline. The key being to keep it nice and flat. Malaysia have looked a couple of times for the bladey forehand option over the cup and over the wall. I think they've completed one or two, but they've been high-risk grabs in difficult spots. I'd love to see them flatten out those throws a little bit. Might help them with a little bit of consistency and reliability on those throws, but also like them to keep looking for their aggressive long shots. In these conditions, the tendency is to convert and revert back to a small ball game as you think it's easier to hold onto the disc. But in these difficult conditions, can eventually lead to a short field turnover that is easily punched in by the opposition. Now we're back in play. Uwe with the disc. Working hard to get it through that wall in the cup. Holes continuing to open up. And Malaysia able to find them, but New Zealand doing a good job of shutting down the next option, preventing the flow from continuing, preventing themselves from being really punished. The bladey forehand to Loy. Loy on the far side with the disc. To Aberdeen. The other bladey forehand. Clearly the Malaysia team not listening to my advice. Uwe showing how to get it done. Finds her player who does a great job of jumping it in. Lim heads up from him. Veteran move. Malaysia sticking to their game plan. Showing that they have faith in their system and in their process and getting it done.
So, fun fact about these two teams is that there are two players called Ian Lim, one on each team. So, Malaysian Ian Lim just scored that point. And on the New Zealand team, number 98 is also called Ian Lim and is also Malaysian.
There you go.
What are the chances?
What are the chances? It's great to see that there are multicultural influences on all these teams. I know there's a couple of, or one of the Malaysian players who's previously played for Singapore, for example, Uwe, the captain, has played for Singapore in the past. Ultimate, known for being an inclusive sport. It's great to see that those opportunities do exist.
And there's also a couple of Canadian imports on the Malaysian team, including their coach.
Yeah, that's right. Their coach, a lot of their coaching staff, in fact, comes from overseas. They've got a couple of North Americans and a British expat as well. That they've relied upon in this first Worlds campaign for the country to bring in some of that experience of this level of play. It's also great to see that they've equally brought in some local assistant coaches to build that experience and build that coaching infrastructure in the local community so that going forward there are opportunities for local and native Malaysians to step into those roles. So that's James Craig, who's leading that coaching team from Canada, with a wealth of experience playing for Team Canada at a number of Worlds events.
And New Zealand sends it on the first throw off the brick, and it just bounces off the face. And there has been a foul called.
Hussey's down on the sideline with a perspective and some interesting information. We'll go to her.
Yeah, I'm just joined here by Wan Yung from the Malaysian team, and just have a question for her about the preparation for the tournament. Because Malaysia's a very multicultural country and they're known for their wonderful food. I was just interested to find out whether they've followed a specific diet in the preparation for this tournament. So what do you have to say on that?
I didn't like have specific different kind of diet. I basically just keep on, but then I try to reduce carbs like before the tournament. I'm not sure about like what people say like carbo loading, but basically I don't do it. I just eat normally and try to eat healthy, clean, drink a bit more water, and always try to have more fruits, like high fiber stuff, to keep yourself healthy.
That sounds really great. And have you felt really springy from that, or have you felt more energy from those foods?
No, I don't, because my trainer actually like encourages us to like break down your meals into smaller portions, but then try to increase the your daily intake, your frequency of intake. So I only eat when I feel slightly hungry. So just a few bites, and then I go on with my daily routine and stuff.
That sounds like you've been very disciplined for this tournament. So yeah, good luck for the rest of the game.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Huss, for that. And just an update on what's been happening in this game. There was a contested foul that went back to the brick mark. And after restarting play at the brick mark, New Zealand have just got a goal.
Lovely pack grab, number of players underneath it, total 50-50 jump ball, and as we've talked about earlier, the height of New Zealand coming into play there.
So we didn't have the audio from the game advisor previously, but from what I could understand, from what I could see on the close-up screen, is that the game advisor came in to help discuss. The New Zealand player called a contact on that pack grab. He must have thought that he had a clean shot at the disc if the defensive player hadn't come through him, but it would be hard to say without actually having a discussion with the game advisor or the on-field players to know the exact opinions of either people, but there was a contest on that, so the disc got sent back to the original thrower. Obviously, they couldn't come to an agreement about what actually happened there.
Yeah, amicably resolved, I think.
Yeah.
And it's good to see that even at this highest level of play at the World Championships, there's a really excellent standard of spirit being upheld by all the teams here. It's especially commendable coming from newer teams like Malaysia and this New Zealand mixed team, which, as we've said before, hasn't existed before. Both doing a great job of bringing that spirit of that game, that trust in your teammates and trust in your opposition, even when the stakes are high, even when the blood's pumping, to resolve those calls in a way that respects everyone's opinions and allows the game to keep moving forwards. New Zealand, renowned for their excellent spirit. Previous juniors and World Ultimate and Guts Championships, they've won spirit in a number of divisions, done extremely well in the others. It's a credit to the system and the emphasis placed on spirit in their local community. I was having a chat to their spirit captain over breakfast, actually, about that reputation as a very spirited nation, whether he felt there was some pressure to maintain it. But before we go to that, that's a big shot.
Oh.
An aerial contest, and it looks like we've got a foul call from the Malaysian player from Geng.
And we have Mathieson getting a hand on there, but there's been a call as to whether...
Hey guys, so New Zealand calling foul? Yep. Oh, it's Malaysia calling foul. Yep.
Pressing my shoulder.
Your perspective?
I reckon it was all pretty similar. I thought I had a...
So we've just lost that there.
So from my perspective, you were both moving towards the disc. There was contact, but I couldn't see whether it could affect the play from where I was. It's still to you to decide what you want to do.
for me, I still think it's a
So we get another look at it.
Okay.
because
They do
So
both go
we
up.
don't need to talk about this anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
I'm
good.
just interested. Yeah.
Okay,
That's all
so
right.
this goes back.
And the result is a contested call. There was a bit of contact, but I think I'm in a similar boat to the game advisor in that situation, unable to tell exactly when it happened and how much of an effect it had. The disc will go back. Malaysia, 10 metres out from the end zone. The wind dying off just a touch now. Let's see whether they can take advantage of the moment of calm. This Malaysian offense being driven by handler movement. Small cuts in small spaces, generating just enough separation for little passes. Then often using the momentum of the cut to move upfield. The dump and swing. Malaysia willing to go backwards to maintain possession. Devidas. Yong. Lovely inside shot from Yong. Working it upfield, just a metre or so out now, on the doorstep. Players bidding everywhere. And Devidas holds on for the goal. The little flip.
Malaysia will be very happy with their calmness right on the doorstep of the end zone there.
Absolutely, it's really easy to get a bit of white line fever in those situations. Try and force a shot that isn't there. Malaysia did a great job chipping it around, waiting for the option to open up, and then take it.
There's
That
a
inside
replay.
shot from Yong, beautiful.
Oh, it's lovely. Great way to break through that cup. And O was just really patient, really considered, really thought about all her options before throwing it out.
Malaysia's consistently been able to find holes in the New Zealand Cup. I imagine that's an adjustment that New Zealand will be looking to make at half-time and just over the course of this game and tournament. Tighten that wall up just a touch. And they should reap the rewards of a few more high stall count throws. We've seen earlier in this game a couple of times Malaysia's been forced to go over the top. And it's worked sometimes and hasn't worked other times. And I think if New Zealand can continue to force those tricky shots, they'll reap the benefits.
It's a very high floaty pull going down to New Zealand there. Plays it safe by just letting it drop first before picking it up. Oh, and there's been a little bit of a collision there between some players right in front of our first handler. Disc is not going back. Players are just resetting. I know, just right into the hands of the Malaysian player there.
Craig does a great job getting in front of that one. Reading it like a book. Immediately gets it back. Speaking to the Malaysians before the game, they said to keep an eye out for Craig on the defensive line. Getting a lot of work done. It's been reasonably quiet up to this point, but clearly been saving it for now. Gets a lovely block.
Oh, the wind is really starting to pick up again. It's what they call the Fremantle Doctor, I believe.
I believe so. The Doctor known for coming in to Perth in the afternoon from the direction of Fremantle, hence the name. It's really starting to pick up. It's coming away from the camera. We'll see how these players react. One of the difficult features of the wind, both yesterday and today, has been its variability.
Just as we saw, that was a lovely shot, but the wind just pushed it right over. The receiver had no chance of even getting that.
Malaysia will take the disc. Sivakumar will bring it in. About 15, 20 metres out. Immediately looks for the dump. New Zealand doing a good job, goes up line. It's an ambitious shot. And a touch too far and out the sideline. This crossfield breeze proving to cause plenty of trouble for these teams.
New Zealand picking up the disc in that tricky corner, right in front of the end zone. Ben Chong walking in. And he sends it again. Oh, and he's in. Oh, Malaysian player may have called him out. Bit of discussion.
Looking to the game advisor for some indication as to whether that was in or out. Another great example of New Zealand taking advantage of their height mismatch.
From my perspective, his foot was down and up, so he was in at the point of the catch. But yeah, that was my perspective. It's still non-binding. Okay.
And leave the goal.
The goal is confirmed. Game advisors' perspective being taken advantage of there. We're very lucky at this tournament to have game advisors who provide perspectives from the sideline. Someone else that provides perspectives from the sideline is Claire Hussey. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up on that, the wind factor here. You know, it's testing for even the best throws. You've got to have skills for throwing both downwind and upwind, and they're quite different throws. Some teams like to organise their lines around those different skills. Throwing downwind, it's, you know, you've really got to put a bit of touch on those throws, but not show too much of the top side of the frisbee to the wind, because that's just going to force it down quicker. That's a real skill. Throwing into the wind, you've got to get as much spin on that frisbee as you can, as much snap to bite through. You don't want to show too much of the bottom of the disc to the wind when you're throwing into it, because then what will happen is you've seen it a couple of times in this game, it'll flitter up a bit and fly backwards over people's heads. So, you know, training a team to be skilled right across the line in both directions is no mean feat. I think that New Zealand probably have a little bit more training in the wind, whereas Malaysia have got more experience in the hot weather. So perhaps over the length of the game, they might take the advantage with the experience in the heat. Back to you.
Thanks, Huss.
Malaysia on offense in this corner that we keep talking about. Really is coffin corner. So many turns coming in this exact area, but Malaysia doing a good job to get it out. Ui's going deep, and they're going to look for her, but the disc falls short in the wind.
Broadly got her hands on that. She read that well. Johnson to slowly walking up to pick up the disc. The New Zealand sideline getting really rowdy. I think they really want to make sure that their players get this goal. And Johnson sends it. He sends it. We sends it. We've got 2 on 1. Malaysia got the D there.
Absolutely no fear from New Zealand. Great to see Malaysia get multiple bodies under that disc. It can make all the difference when there is a height mismatch the other way, but a foot block.
This is getting exciting now. Johnson indicating that he wants a nice deep vert stack. Give him plenty of options. Calm and collected. And puts it in the bank.
And that's the danger in this wind. A short field turnover can be converted quickly and easily into points on the board. And with that, New Zealand will take half.
Coggins with the assist there. Didn't quite see what player did the tumble, but either way, we're one team. Speaking of which, I'll give a little bit of context on the New Zealand team name. All of the New Zealand teams usually have native names, and the New Zealand mixed team for under-24s is Mango Pereri, which is the Māori word for a hammerhead shark, coming from a Māori myth and Māori motto about don't die like an octopus, fight like a hammerhead shark. So that sort of is their team spirit and their team motto, not to give up.
And I think we've seen that here. They've been fighting hard this entire game. Now we're going to head down to Claire Hussey on the sideline, who's got one of the New Zealanders with her.
Sally Neal, I believe.
For a bit of a chat.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm joined with Sally Neal. She's the assistant coach of the New Zealand team here. And you may have noticed that some of the players on the New Zealand team have been wearing black armbands, and Sally's just going to fill us in on a bit of detail as to why.
Yes, so we found out on Friday that a really good friend of ours and massive part of the Wellington Ultimate community back at home had passed away after a long illness, and so understandably it has affected the team and the New Zealand Ultimate community over here quite a bit. So a lot of the players felt that this was, one way that they could, show their respect and use it as a mark of honour for Kim back home. So sort of, a way of the players being able to sort of, I guess, work through it as well as being able to focus on the tournament as well. So.
Yeah, very understandable. And Kim was quite a big part of the Wellington scene. What was her credentials?
So she, while she was well enough, she was a player in the community. She used to play for the Capital Punishment Women's Ultimate team, and she's been involved right from the start in the administration of the sport in Wellington as well. She gave countless hours to the Victoria University Ultimate Club. Was the secretary of the executive there for years, and has done the same for Capital Punishment. She's been involved in a number of different capacities there. She's currently the coach of our B squad. So she'll, the amount of time and effort she put into Ultimate will definitely be hugely missed.
She sounds like an incredible person, and I'm sure she'll be really missed. We pay our respects to her and her friends and family. Thanks for your time, Sally.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, Huss. So that was one hell of a first half. Gone to 8-4, New Zealand up. We're going to have a look at some of the highlights and some of the big moments that led to New Zealand having this commanding lead at half-time. Some of the pivotal blocks, pivotal goals on this highlight reel.
And we're back with you in a number of minutes. See you soon.
And welcome back to the second half here in Perth, WA at the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships. It's been a cracker of a game between New Zealand and Malaysia. New Zealand came out of the gate strong and haven't looked back. They've taken half 8-4. And they've been doing a great job at it. And there you see why. Their athleticism and skill on display from the very start. That was an incredible play by Matheson to hold on, keep this possession alive. But the intensity on defense that Malaysia has considered their hallmark pays off as they get the disc back. But they cannot complete the pass. Jordan looking to move it quickly. 5 metres out from the end zone. New Zealand in a vertical stack, looking to dump, and we've got a pick call. We've got a pick call. Took them a little while to notice, but it will go back, I imagine.
When?
A little bit of discussion as to exactly when it happened and how far and how many passes back the disc will have to go before play recommences. Interestingly, New Zealand choosing to play a vertical offense this point. They've been committed to the horizontal for the whole first half. Now they're choosing to mix it up. Horizontal having provided them plenty of deep options. Here choosing to go the horizontal, especially close to the end zone. The backhand over the top, tipped, but retained by Jordan. Eventually finding his player in the front corner of the end zone. The start of this second half, it'll be interesting to see the perspective from the sideline. Hussey, how's it going down there?
Well, I'm really seeing an increase in intensity from the Malaysian defence. They were so close to maybe half of those throws, getting hands on all of those discs. New Zealand managed to keep their cool and still collect them up, but I'm interested to see how this increase in the Malaysian defence intensity will play out and whether they can close up this score over the next few points.
You're absolutely right, Huss. It all comes down to their intensity and then whether they can convert that defensive intensity into points on the board. That has been their tripping point so far. See if they've made a few tweaks at halftime that'll enable them to get that job done. Now, while we are between points here, I just want to provide a quick update what's happening on field 2. In the men's division, it's Canada against Australia. I know some of the Aussies on the stream will be interested to know Australia Goannas currently up 12-3 against Canada. Not a result many of us would have expected.
No, that is a huge points difference. I think we would expect that game to be a lot tighter.
But we're back into play here with Malaysia. At about the brick mark, launches it to Tane, and he goes up and cannot hold on. He did all the hard work to get there, all the hard work to read it and go up. Not able to close the big right paw on the disc. And we have a quick look at what the Aussies are doing behind us. But we're back into live play.
New Zealand back on O.
And an incredible run through D from O. Just read the play like a book, snatches the disc out of the air, and the immediate inside backhand for the goal. Malaysia. That'll fire them up. You can see they're pretty excited about that one. They've got to bring that intensity to the next couple of points.
That was a well-deserved goal from Malaysia. They've put some really good options out there. Just an unfortunate grab on that first huck. And huge run through D there from O. It'll be interesting to see if New Zealand continue to bring out that vertical stack that they had in that first point after half.
It will be. Malaysia have been going the vertical stack for the entire game as well. And we'll see whether New Zealand have liked what the Malaysians are doing and decide whether they want to keep copying it. Choosing to go 4 men here the Malaysian team. Chatting to their coach before the game, they were saying they will look to call 4 women relatively often to take advantage of, apologies, it is 4 women. And they will look to call that to take advantage of what they feel like is a skill and athleticism mismatch in that part of their roster. They've got some talented women, and they'll look to use them to best effect now on defense.
Chong's pull just goes just the side of the brick mark there. Lynch with the disc. Bit of give and go. Lynch has it centre of the field. Dumping to Jordan. Considers his options. There's a dishy out to Johnson. Oh, and a hammer! That's huge!
Sivakumar able to get there and get the block.
Great block there from Malaysia.
It was a nice looking throw. It came out of the hand well, flew true to his man, but Sivakumar able to eat up the separation and get involved, coming from well out of position to get that block from Malaysia. And now Malaysia take a leaf out of the New Zealand book and set up in a horizontal stack. Lamb immediately streaks deep and the throw will come. Can he chase it down? He's got a New Zealander in hot pursuit. He'll have to go up. Snags it beautifully. Sivakumar streaming through. Can he convert? It floats. It hangs.
Yes!
But he reels it in.
Double happiness to Sivakumar. He will be a very, very happy bloke with himself after that point.
Sivakumar doing all the hard work. Both ends of the field that point. First the block on the big hammer, then goes the full 100 metres the other way and scores at the back of the end zone. That little backhand I thought might just sit up just long enough for the New Zealanders to get involved. But Sivakumar does a good job to pluck it out of the sky and end that point. Malaysia coming out of halftime strong with that extra intensity that Hussey talked about, and it is paying off. We'll see how New Zealand respond. So often in these games, when one team throws a punch, it's all about how the other one can respond. So we'll see how New Zealand respond.
There's a replay of that fantastic grab from Sivakumar, just leaping his arm right out, knowing that he has the height disadvantage in that play.
It's not often, as we've said, that Malaysia will have the height disadvantage in a matchup, but that was a situation where they did, and they took good advantage of it. It's about picking your matchups, and they did just that. We should do another quick shout out to our sponsors, STA Travel. If you're planning any travel during or after the tournament, head over to them for a great deal. They're our official travel partner and they'll look after you.
New Zealand in that vertical stack. Trying to get that dump off and it is not coming. Where are the cuts upfield? They're just not happening. Finally getting some movement now, and it goes, and it goes. Oh. Manang on his bike, and even with a bit of a vertical leap, could not get there.
Manang working hard like a salmon heading upstream. He lays out, but he's not able to hold on and make up the distance. Malaysia return the favour, heading long. They've got Loy underneath it, but he's not able to get over the top of Lee.
Oh, that's a high throw there. But New Zealand used their height, and Ziana Mansell pulls that one through. Centres the disc. Continuation throw there.
Lee has just been so dominant in the air for so much of this game. See,
there is a call, and there is also a player on the ground.
yeah, bit of a bump. Fair bit of body on body there.
Lee pulling himself up.
He'll be fine. Malaysians apologetic and not contesting that one. They'll get play restarted. We'll see if Lee heads to his favourite place, and that's deep.
Manang fixed by his options. Does the backhand break. Oh! Oh! There's a bit of body contact there, but Chong comes and backs it up and grabs that high disc. Dumps into Alga. He's trying to get off the sideline. And there's been a call downfield. Another player on the ground, this time a Malaysian player. Loy.
Loy has been instrumental both downfield and behind the disc, but he looks like he'll be all right. That would have been a big loss for New Zealand.
Just goes back to the... And it's centered. Chong thinks about his options. Very static downfield play, but there's been a call. Chong having a bit of discussion there with his mark. Game advisors are stepping in, but I don't think they'll be necessary. Play restarting. Chong thinking about his options. Puts the forehand out to Risner. She throws the upper line to Chong, but unfortunately just that little bit too low. He can't reel it in. Malaysia are back on home.
A slightly wayward forehand, maybe a miscommunication as to who the intended receiver was there. Kwa ended up laying out for it, but not able to recover.
Olga has a bit of a loose mark on him. Got Mansell with the disc. Really thinking about her options there. She wants to dump back to Alga. Oh, there's been a bit of contact there.
And the Malaysian players come down with the disc, but there's going to be a bit of chat about this one. From my perspective on the initial look, looked like there was a fair bit of contact, but
I didn't pancake a bit, I pulled it like this. Your hand came into here and then stripped it.
Unfortunately, your back was such that I didn't get a good position to see the play. If you can't settle it, then it's going to be contested and back.
Contested.
What stall were we on when that disc went? What stall? Stall 5. We happy with that? Yep. Okay. Everybody good?
Is it from here or is it from where?
Yeah. Take a couple of paces back to where you were. Yeah. That's good. Yes. So as you were. We all good? We all set? Okay.
Thanks to the game advisor audio, we heard that was a contested strip. New Zealand back with the possession. And the goal from Risner.
Lee instrumental throughout that point, in the sky, generating cuts underneath, taking some body contact, and end up coming away with the assist. He's done a great job so far.
Getting some replay here of the New Zealand score. Risner just in there with that goal. New Zealand are now up 10-6. It's a comfortable lead, but they don't want to take their foot off the pedal one bit. They've already been punished a bit by the Malaysian intensity. But coming out on D, maybe they'll be able to get that back in their position. We're getting a replay here of that bouncy throw. But we had to back up.
In these conditions, it's just so important to never give up on a disc in the air. And that's a great example of why. You never know where it's going to end up. Have to be ready to catch it. Malaysia on offense, working out of this vertical stack. Got a man open on the break side, not looking to use him. The forehand comes out. It's high, it's going to float. It's going to be a pack grab. Ui shows her class, shows her experience. And then a lovely dump sets up a shot down the break side, but it looks like we've got a pick. The dump from Ui de Jong will go back. Having a bit of discussion as to where exactly play will resume. Malaysia taking advantage of this high side of the field, looking to work it in. They found a little more success this half by being a little more aggressive. And speaking of, Yong reaches to the fat side of the field with an arcing forehand. The risk, of course, in these conditions is that a forehand like that will fly very quickly. It was coming in hot and found its place on the turf. New Zealand with the disc.
Van Turnhout walking it up to the front of the end zone. He's looking to centre it. Centres to Johnson. Dishes it back. Oh, there was a hand on that from the Malaysian player.
Ui stepping up, the captain when her team needs her. And she looks like she's going to get the goal as well. That's double happiness.
Excellent work from Ui there.
And Malaysia, all aboard the Malaysian comeback train, ladies and gentlemen. They're not done yet. This game isn't over.
Across to Hussey, who has some insight from the sideline here.
Yeah, I just wanted to have a little chat about the impressiveness of the Malaysian team as such a new ultimate nation. I think the secret to a lot of teams' success these days is their coaching, and they've got a lot of guidance from Jamie Craig, who is a Canadian player. He's a 4-time Canadian rep and a GOAT player. He's been heading up the coaching team. There's about 4 coaches, and they've got one of their coaches is called a shadow coach. I don't think that he is going around chasing the players' shadows and advising them. I think he is getting some training on bringing up the Malaysian teams in future. So this is looking really fantastic for the future of Malaysian Ultimate. They've been set up nicely. They're looking very organised out there, and they've found their feet in this game, I think. And I reckon we're going to have a real close one all the way to the end.
Thanks for that, Huss. Appreciate the insight. We've got Malaysia coming up with the pull. Tong sending that very deep, very high. And it's in. New Zealand trying to get some early movement. Looks like they've gone back to that horror. Quite a few dumps back though. Assessing the options. Oh, and there has been a call. And the distance back in. Moving that up the field. Trying to find that dump. He finds it. Oh, huge defensive bid from Malaysia there, but New Zealand maintain possession.
You can feel that the tempo has just picked up a little bit. The intensity's picked up a little bit from both teams. They sense that this game is on. The team that can find that little bit extra will be the one that comes away with it. New Zealand cannot risk complacency as Malaysia ups the pressure.
New Zealand on the sideline there. That's that tough sideline to get off. Linda Price dumps.
Sivakuma off his feet, putting in the defensive attempt.
Miskomen sending it deep. And it's just that little bit too far for Manang to get to. Malaysia get another chance on O.
And I'll use this opportunity to update everybody. The Australian Goannas have just defeated the Canadian men's team 15-4.
What a defeat. I think the Goannas will be very satisfied with that result.
Yeah, I think for many people that would be an upset. I want to say I've had faith in the Aussies the whole way along, but I'd be lying if I thought it was going to look like that at the end of it. But back to this game. Malaysia with the disc, the front of their end zone. Directing traffic. Loy moves it to the sideline with Lamb.
Oh, the great read there from Mansell. She just shuts that one right down. Al going to pick up. He's hoping to find a player in the back corner. Oh, huge bid there from Lamb from the Malaysian team. Running right into Manang. And there's been a foul called.
It looks like it'll be uncontested. Despite the effort from Lan, he knows that he initiated a fair bit of contact on that one. And it'll be a New Zealand disc on the precipice.
Coming in from the front of the end zone. Milan looking for that easy score. Throws it over to Lyndon Price, and New Zealand get the goal. 11-7 to New Zealand.
New Zealand steady the ship, put another one in as they inch closer.
At this stage, New Zealand just want to maintain that lead, make sure Malaysia can't get any more breaks on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the game going for 76 minutes now, we're running out of time for it to go for too much longer.
Yeah, I think at this point, in New Zealand's position, they'll be looking to hold their offense and put in their opportunities when they have them on D. But of course, in conditions like this, there are just so many turnovers and so many opportunities for both teams. And neither team has shown an ability to really consistently punch in clean offensive points. You can't ever take the foot off the gas. There's always going to be opportunities for the other team, which means you need to be ready to play defense every time you're on the field.
And what we saw from the first showcase game yesterday is that it's never too late for a comeback.
No, absolutely right. For those that missed it yesterday afternoon, I would recommend you go back and watch it. The Australian Blue Bottles, Australian mixed team, went up 7-1 against the Indian mixed team before India went on an 11-4 run, I believe.
Yeah,
to close it out 12-11.
Ginormous effort from India there.
Yeah, incredible comeback. They went on 7 points in a row to take half 8-7. Go back to the WFDF YouTube channel if you want to have a look at that one. Another upset. This tournament is full of them, and that's why we're here. There's some incredibly exciting ultimate to be seen, often from teams and players that we're not that familiar with. And that's one of the incredibly unique factors about this tournament and about the under-24 age category. New faces bursting on the scene, no reputations and no expectations, but showing that they've got the ability and the skill and the will to get the job done.
Now Malaysia taking the disc from the brick mark. Another one of those field pulls going down to the right side of the field that just gets pushed out the back of the end zone.
New Zealand back in their zone defense. And Malaysia, again, back to their hammer-driven movement. Goes for the hammer. I'm not sure if that was the intended receiver, but Malaysia will take it, and they'll move it quickly up this sideline. And they find the hole through the center. Moving it nicely. Just outside now. And is that up? The bidding player makes it hard for his receiver. Young does. There'll be a bit of discussion as to whether she was able to get her fingertips underneath that disc, dig it out, and hold on for the goal.
Bit of discussion from the sideline coming in. Ding still on the ground. Demonstrating that she felt comfortable, she had her hand under that disc.
Get another look at it. It's very close. But from my end, it looks up.
It looks up, and we're going to
Players are
goal.
saying up.
And that was Jesslyn Ding with the goal. Good friend of mine, actually. She studied in Melbourne.
Oh, excellent. I think there are a couple of players on this Malaysian team who've done university exchanges in Australia, playing at Monash University, I believe.
Yes, and Yao was another one. They both played for Monash University together.
Gaining some experience of the ultimate scene in other countries. We're going to go have a chat to Huss down on the sideline. What's it looking from down there?
I'm really enjoying the way that both teams are maximising use of every player on their team. I think on that point there, it was against the zone. Malaysia may have used every single player on their line to pop that one in. I'm not sure, but if it wasn't all, it was very close to. Both teams really utilising both genders on the team. Beauty of mixed ultimate is really showing itself here. I'm loving that there doesn't seem to be any kind of strategy to particularly use one gender or the other. It's really, really equal game out there. Really enjoying it.
Thanks, Huss, and you're absolutely right. One of the unique and beautiful features of this sport of ultimate is that at the absolute highest levels, it is played in the mixed division. There aren't a lot of sports out there that can say that, but it's absolutely true of ultimate frisbee. The mixed is considered the premier elite division, with men and women contributing equally in all aspects of the sport.
We've got an early turn. First pass.
Short field for Malaysia. They'll take advantage of that, finding their player Loy, streaking up the line.
But there has been a call.
A little bit of discussion about whether he jumped after or before catching the disc as he tried to jump it into the end zone. They'll be going to the game advisor for a perspective. Looks like he's indicated that from his vantage point, he was outside the end zone when he caught the disc. Loy looks up line again. Will swing to the center. Goes break side. And they get it. Quinn with the break. Malaysia making this a tight one. This game is not over. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Stay glued to your seats because Malaysia is looking to come back.
They are ecstatic with that result. And it's an unforced error from New Zealand there, where that first throw from Alga over to Coggins just drifted that little bit too high of the wind and he just couldn't reel it down. Missed her at the jump. Malaysia got the easy possession in front of the end zone.
We see here, just a touch high, not able to hold on. As Kwa gets involved and sends that one to the turf.
Make sure that Coggins can't get a second hand on it.
Malaysia now on defense. Got some familiar faces out there that have been doing a lot of work for them all game. Ui in particular, an absolute star for this team. Doing so much work, both defensively and offensively. Generating so much out of that primary position. And very comfortable coming back into the handler spot when the team needs a little bit more in that area. As the pull goes up, New Zealand will look to steady the ship.
First pass centering the disc to Johnson. Considers his options. We get lots of handler movement here. Broadly with the disc. Only 15 years old. Moving through all their players, and we get a deep disc. Oh, that is a good dive from Ian Lim, but he just can't reel that one in. The wind pushing it down a little bit too low for him.
I like the look from Jordan. There's a whole paddock of space on that fat side of the field, and in these conditions, that shot can be quite useful. If you can get the right amount of touch and the right shape on that throw, it can sit quite nicely for your player cutting to the break side. Not able to execute that time, but I think it's an option that the New Zealand coaching staff and that Jordan should be happy with. Malaysia, coffin corner. Can they dig it out? And yes, they can. They find Ui. As always, the release valve for this Malaysian offense. As they move it up through the center of the field, they'll reach. And they're reaching long. Can she get it? Not quite able to reel that one in and make up the distance. She did have separation though.
I can relate to Ning. I've also got very short legs. It can be a lot harder with those big throws to get that speed and time for that disc. We have Van Turn out picking up. There's a couple of options, and he sends it again.
Sivakuma have an easy time.
Jordan was there, but he just gave up on that, I think.
Looked like both players got a little tangled up early on.
Yeah. Oh, huge vertical
And that one floats
grab.
up. It's pulled down by Gang, who immediately goes again. Malaysia not afraid to throw the away shot. They're finding success now with their aggressive looks. Ui on the doorstep. Can she continue to do what she's done this entire game? And she does. Ever reliable. Hits Chong, captain to captain for the goal.
Van Turnout putting his body in there, but it just was not enough.
Absolutely. Full credit to New Zealand and their effort They're going to call a timeout because they sense that momentum has shifted. You can't blame them.
Not at all.
Malaysia able to string a few together now.
They've scored the last 3, so understandably New Zealand are a little scared.
I can tell you that the energy feels like it's shifted up here. How does it feel down on the sideline with you, Claire Hussey?
Yeah, it's feeling really exciting down here. I did notice quite a lot of friendliness between the two teams, which is another wonderful aspect of our sport. You know, it's really competitive out there, but despite that, both teams are happy to high-five each other, congratulate each other on great plays. Talking of great plays, Ui has been outstanding out there for the Malaysian team. She's been getting blocks, keeping cool on the disc and walking so many goals in. She's being a real leader for that team.
Thanks, Huss. We couldn't agree more from our perspective up here. She's been doing a mountain of work for this Malaysian team. Now, in this situation, Katie, what do you say to a New Zealand team? They've had a lead. It's shrunk significantly as Malaysia have come out hard in this second half. What do you do to get the job done and close this one out?
I would just say, just keep your head high, kia kaha, and just keep pushing through. Don't let any small mistake let you down, because that's when the loss comes through, is if you just let a minor error continue through.
Yeah, I think they'll be looking to players like Lee to really step up here. When he has dominated the cutting space, New Zealand have looked at their best, both going away and coming back under.
And on the female line, Mansell has been a standout. She's got some excellent grabs there. It'd be great to see her jump in on another point as well.
They're both on the line right now.
Yep.
Clearly this is a significant moment for New Zealand. They've called this line to get a job done, and we'll see whether they can do it.
As we're edging close to the time gap, New Zealand just want to ensure that they don't let Malaysia get another break.
Malaysia, on the other hand, taking advantage of their full roster. Looks like their approach has been to have 1 or 2 key handlers on every line. And then for the rest of the players, utilise the full depth of their team, fresh legs, and really make New Zealand have to work hard against fresh, energetic, enthusiastic defence.
Coming through to Johnson, and he sends it. Oh, that is great grab. And just an example of why I wanted Mansell on the line. She backed that up. Looking at dump to Johnson. Oh, and a hand come through from Lam on the Malaysian team. We have a call though from Chong, indicating that he thought Lam came through his body.
It's an indication of the intensity and effort both teams at this point in the game. We're getting these close D situations.
He's pushing on my back as he comes through for his bid.
Okay, and yours?
I didn't push him. I just went around and tap at this.
Okay, again, players in the way. Didn't get a clear look, so I can't give you an external perspective on this. You've got to settle it between yourselves.
I stay with my call.
Sounds like you contested. Okay, so contested foul. Who had the disc? Okay, all right. What was the stall on? Stool 9. Okay, so you're going to come in on 8. Okay, everybody happy? Oh, sorry, it's contested 6. Sorry, 6.
And we're back in.
And Mansell having to do the bailout throw. Oh, Alga goes for a bit of a tumble, but there's been another call.
Just in live action there from my perspective. Looked like it was just the classic incidental contact shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, he had a bit of a fumble with that disc there.
But of course, that's my perspective, and it's the players down on the field that make the decision. And it looks like it'll be uncontested. New Zealand will retain the disc.
Just coming in with Alga on the far sideline. Chong is his mark. Alga's looking for the bump. Sends it downfield. Linton Price. Oh, and a bit of miscommunication there. Who won the swing round dunk? Oh, it didn't come off.
Chong picks it up. He's been a general for this offense with his array of throws, but unfortunately this time reaches just a touch too far out in front of Gang.
New Zealand to restart back in front of their end zone, at least away from the sideline of death this time.
Escaped coffin corner, you're absolutely right. Malaysia playing tight match at this point. It's reach
Chong
rewards.
faking. Sends the forehand to Alga. Oh, just too far in front of Lee there. Malaysian retake position. New Zealand will be feeling very nervous right now.
Absolutely. Chong picks up about 15 metres out. 1 point behind. All to play for as the clock counts down. Looks to his dump.
Oh, a bit of a fumble there.
And Lamb not able to hold on, unfortunately. That's a crucial drop.
Alga wants that early disc. He's getting that movement there. Oh, and he gets the connection to Lee that he wants. New Zealand getting that another point on the board, and that'll ease their nerves.
And Lee is fired up. You can see him roaring his approval at that goal. Said before the point they'd be looking for him to dominate, and he did just that. He was laying out to keep that disc alive at times, and ends up generating the separation deep for an easy pass into the end zone. New Zealand maintain their composure. It's 12-10.
Nice safe clap catch on that. It's that replay from many angles. Chong had a paddock to run into. Lee, sorry, correction. New Zealand team still looking a little nervous despite the Amping chant.
They'll go a similar line out there. There's a few faces from the last point, likewise on the Malaysian team, clearly recognising the significance of these next couple of points, choosing to ensure that a few key stars are out there on the field.
And that is a beautiful pull. Thankfully not a drop from this time.
Yong with the disc. New Zealand playing a little poachy at the moment. In this zone look, Malaysia playing patient, willing to chip it around, wait for the opportunities to open up. As always, looking to drive and generate through their handlers before heading downfield.
Great bit from New Zealand defence there, but...
And they reach, it's high, it's floating.
So high.
Can he get underneath it?
Johnson's
Misread,
right
unfortunately.
there. Walks it up slowly, waits till his players are ready for him to start offense again. Some yelling from the sideline telling New Zealand to stack shorter, and there was a bit of a tumbly throw, but Alga reels it in, and he sends it! Sends it down. Malaysia get the defense though. Wong just getting his body position right in front of Van Turnhout.
And they'll look to move it quickly.
Matheson.
Young with the disc now as New Zealand set up again. They'll move to the higher side of the field in this wind. Craig keeps it alive as she goes to ground. The arcing forehand across the field will open up a lot of space. Looking to play patient and conservative now. Recognising the significance of this possession. As Wong moves it up. Back towards the centre to Devadas. To Yong. New Zealand starting to look tired on defence, a little static. And as they do, the holes open up. And Malaysia find their man Tanay in the back of the end zone. 12-11 to New Zealand. Malaysia, the charge continues.
We can see a bit of reflection in the body language of the New Zealand players that they're definitely tired, getting a little frustrated, but they can't give up. That's the thing. If they give up now, the game's gone.
Absolutely. In conditions like these, and in a game like this with so many turns and so many opportunities, you have to be absolutely relentless. And I think that's what Malaysia have shown they're willing to do. The large roster also paying off. 16 men and 12 women on this Malaysian team means that they've got the legs to run all day long, despite the difficult and tiring conditions.
Malaysia also that little bit more adjusted to heat. New Zealand have been in Perth for about a week or so, so they've adjusted their bodies to the warmer temperatures, but it's still not the same as playing in Wellington or playing in Auckland.
No, absolutely not. This will feel like home for the Malaysians. Warm weather, sun's out, not a cloud in the sky. It's beautiful conditions really, other than the wind. And as we speak of the wind, it starts to pick up again. We'll see how these teams react. Malaysia heading downwind slightly. It's also going cross-field away from the camera.
That arching pool looking like it's going to go out, and it is again. Just an example of that cross-field wind really pushing those pools to the side.
Malaysia, having played a lot of zone in the first half, have played a little bit more match in this second half, and it looks like they'll go back to that now.
Miskman slowly walking the disc up to the brick mark.
We just saw Uwe switch a match up to get on a downfield player.
And Risner is on her bike. And she has the height advantage over Ding for days. New Zealand just taking their time now. They had that big exciting moment. Dumping it to Lynch. Oh, and there's been a call. Okay, advisor Lucy's coming in.
Looks like Uwe thought there was a foul, an offensive throwing foul on that. Oh, apologies, a pick.
Just going back to Lynch.
About 8 meters out on this downwind sideline.
Lynch trying to get the swing. She gets it off. Chong there really thinking his options. Miskman coming in. Just keep racing with the same points though. Back to Chong. Miskman. And Lee. Oh, just too far out in front, but fortunately just too far for Risner to get to. It goes out the side of the end zone. New Zealand just working through their handlers there until they had the opportunity.
Very patient offense, credit to them. But in the end, not able to connect on that last pass. Sivakuma centers it to Chong. All Malaysia's stars on the line now. They've shortened their roster for this point.
Oh!
And Sivakuma will unleash to Ding.
Huge front.
Body's underneath it. And the New Zealand height pays off.
Risner putting a really swirly throw around, and New Zealand just can't reel that one in.
Perhaps a little rush there. Didn't need to take that shot.
No.
And Malaysia.
Just wanted to get it out of the end zone.
Malaysia will get the disc back. As they swing for Chong. Can he get it? He cannot. Too far.
Great throw from Ding, though.
Both teams pushing the envelope now, trying to find that extra 1 or 2%. That's what this team and this game requires right now.
New Zealand bringing it in that really tough corner and calling a timeout. That's the third timeout this game that we've seen called.
It is, and we'll find out what that feels like down on the sideline with Claire Hussey.
Yeah, this point is really intense. I think you can see that both teams can sense the end of the game approaching, and they're both really, really wanting to win this one. I think it was an interesting decision, a good one from Malaysia to switch to match defense. The difficult thing, one of the difficult things about mixed ultimate, and which makes the players require a bit more skill than in the single gender versions of the sport, is the complexities in throwing to the different genders. Women generally a little bit smaller, which makes them a harder target. Men a bit bigger, you might need to put a bit more zazz on your throws. So it's a good decision to change to match, to force the New Zealand team to have to think about their throws again instead of just making the decisions as to how to get around a zone. So I think they've done well there. Let's see what they can do after this timeout.
Thanks, Huss, for that analysis. New Zealand in this corner. Both teams have had it here numerous times, and both teams have struggled to get it out of this corner numerous times. New Zealand setting up in a diagonal stack with one dump back.
That'll just be to open up some space, really aim to get it off that sideline. Malaysia still setting up in that zone look though. Oh, and a hammer comes out. Risner's right there. Oh, sorry, Crosby. To Risner. To Crosby. Just moving that nice mid-work there to Alga.
Malaysia committing to their zone defense.
Chonga's on the doorstep. Oh, and he does an over-the-top pass to Miskimen. And Zoe Risner does not give up on that disc. Her team is so happy she got that one. 13-11 to New Zealand.
That was a great effort by New Zealand, never giving up on that disc. Extend their lead back to 2. It's do or die now for Malaysia. Do or die.
Well, I've just had confirmation from the sideline that it's game to 14 as time cap is now passed of 100 minutes. Most Ultimate games have game to 15. However, if they reach the time cap before we get close to it, adjust the score cap.
That's right. You finish the point in which time cap is reached, add 1 to the highest score, and play to that. So it'll be game to 14.
New Zealand will probably be feeling quite comfortable. They've just got to get that one more, whilst Malaysia have to get 3 to win the game. So
comfortable perhaps, but the job's not done.
Oh, definitely not. No giving up now.
And Malaysia will start this point with the disc.
Johnson with the pull.
Big inside out. Out that same sideline
Yep.
that so many pulls have gone out this game.
It looked like it wasn't going to go out. He put so much IO on that, but not quite enough.
In these kind of conditions with the wind going away from the camera towards that sideline, I'd love to see them attempt an outside in or a flatter pull if they're attempting to keep it in the field. Having said that, some teams do strategically choose to throw the brick in order to create a static setup for the offense. Defensively, a static player, obviously much easier to guard than one in motion, so can be seen as a legitimate choice. Malaysia immediately shoot deep as the New Zealanders in the area.
Mansell there following that disc, making sure that Malaysia had no chance on that. Lynch to pick up though. Oh, and a bit of a tumble. New Zealand maintain possession though. Dumping it there to Lynch. For Johnson, and he sends it! Oh, but it's coming a little short. Does not give up though. Ian Lim passing to Alga for the goal.
and for the win. And that is the game, ladies and gentlemen. New Zealand get their job done and they celebrate in style. Look at that high five, handshake, don't know what to call that, but it's one hell of a celebration from the New Zealanders.
I do hear that they have crazy handshakes. Look like that one ended a little bit of a dab and a drop.
It was a sight to see. New Zealand getting the job done in the end in spectacular fashion. A well-read disc, a layout, a flip to the end zone, and a goal.
Oh, fantastic. Ka-pai to both teams. And thank you for whoever is listening, wherever you're listening from all around the world. This has been Katie and Max. You've been listening to us from Perth, Western Australia.
Thank you very much.
And make sure you stay tuned because there are many more games to come in today's side. Yep. Got some highlights here going for you. Just some of yeah.
And that's the last point right there. The easy flip in then. It's the easy flip in for the goal in the end after an athletic play by the New Zealand receiver. Do stay tuned. We've got some great games coming up. We've got Colombia and Great Britain next up. Should be a great one to watch. I know I'm looking forward to it. You should too. This is some of the key turning points throughout the game. Some of the great plays by both teams. Mansell obviously doing a whole load of work for the New Zealanders. Chong, his hucks pivotal in the Malaysian comeback in that second half, throwing some absolute pinpoint ones as we see there. Tanay does a great job of towing that one in and keeping that disc alive. Lee as well, incredibly dominant from the New Zealanders in the air. We spoke early about the height mismatch, an advantage that New Zealand had in that department. Lee playing a big part in that. Risner as well on the women's side of the roster, both dominating the skies when the disc went high. We should mention Uwe there, who we see flipping that one in for the goal. The captain of the Malaysian team, very experienced player, having played WU24UC in London last year, showed why she's the captain of this team. Led both on the defensive and offensive side.
Now we're just getting a summary of that final point now. That huge huck there from Johnson. A great tumbling read there from Lim. Sending it to Alga for the final goal.
And that is a double dab celebration from the New Zealanders as they chalk up their first win for the tournament. That's been Malaysia and New Zealand. I've been Max Stenstrom, joined by Katie Locke in the commentary booth. Stick around for the next game. Thank you very much.
It is GB versus Colombia in the women's division. It'll be a fantastic matchup, so stick around. See you later.